Again, I thank you for this opportunity. And again, my conjecture is and remains JFK was not assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. What was proven on November 22nd, 1963, at that time, was the legal definition of conspiracy, the attempt to assassinate the President of the United States of America. This is now part two of this multi part series. And as I prepared this PowerPoint called President John F. Kennedy Assassination Attempt, November 22nd, 1963, to assist with this further deep dive, including applicable visual, photo, video clips to accompany my remarks, even deeper than my previous remarks. Ready to continue? And again, as we proceed, I want to hear your audience's questions, comments, aha moments along the way to make sure I've already addressed a question later in the series and to pulse where you are as well, particularly your aha moments, okay? Oh, it's going to be very interesting at all the twists, turns, and where we end up. Surprises and aha moments all along the way. So we will now go to part two of the PowerPoint to continue our journey. Okay, so now I want to start again with this first video, JFK Truth, the Mob, the CIA, and the 8 Paid Assassins, YouTube, publication date, May 11, 2017. It's an hour and 25 minutes and 6 seconds long, but I'm going to only show you portions that I first became aware of on Thursday, September 30th, 2021, published by British producer Francis R. Connolly. The American people are well aware the Warren Commission was a manipulative deception, false narrative, lie to the American people. A very valid point British producer Francis R. Connolly makes in his documentaries, and of which I totally agree and very much question myself, is this. I will now play accordingly the applicable section. From 1:14:36 to 1:14:55.
Learned, and how best we can use this new understanding about the West's secret history to evaluate what is really going on in our world right now. To begin with, let's answer a couple of questions which have perplexed many people over the years. A great many researchers and historians have wondered why the Kennedy family themselves almost seemed to be aiding and abetting the cover-up by choosing to be so quiet about the assassination itself. After the revelations of Chuck J.
So why did the Kennedy family themselves almost seem to be aiding and abetting the cover-up by choosing to be so quiet about the assassination itself? And to this day, as President Biden himself, just like President Trump, has yet again delayed the release of the JFK assassination files. So, other than the fact that there was no assassination, perhaps? But with that said, there indeed was an assassination attempt. And for the reasons Connolly provides, I do not agree. And for those that want to watch for themselves later, the reasons he provides may play a partial role indeed, but not the main reason. And as stated previously, I do not agree with Connolly's conclusion on who the chief coordinator for the JFK assassination attempt really was. But more on that in a bit. I remark on all this extensively during my previous remarks, which now leads to this next video, JFK Revisited Through the Looking Glass by Oliver Stone. Originally premiered on July 12, 2021 at the 2021 Cannes Film Festival, it was First available in the United States on November 12, 2021 on video on demand, then televised on Showtime on November 22nd, 2021. That's where I first watched it, on November 28th, 2021. On November 26th, 2021, it was supposedly released in the UK and in Ireland. Yet another British and Irish connection. Overall, it's very interesting to include that Whoopi Goldberg and Donald Sutherland, a Canadian, are narrators and featured comments with and by RFK Jr. himself. I'm not sure of the timeline of the production of this JFK Revisited, but earlier on in the film, it references 55 years later. So maybe in the 2018 timeframe it was produced, but not released until 2021, about 3 years later. At approximately 12 minutes into this film, during the 1975-1976, and that would have been after Watergate and after Nixon's resignation of the House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA, Richard Pryor, an HSCA committee member, states that, quote, the Pentagon has destroyed its Kennedy assassination files, and we don't know why that was done, end quote. Furthermore, according to this film, what the HSCA investigation learned was too damaging to be made public, that records were to remain sealed until 2029. So now I'm going to play this pertinent and applicable portion of this video for you to hear for yourself. This is from 1207 to 1230.
Aware of, no. The Pentagon has destroyed its Kennedy assassination file, and we don't know why that was done.
But at the end of that investigation, what the HSCA learned was considered too damaging to be made public, and close to 500,000 records were to remain sealed until 2029. A fact that we...
So again, what could be so damaging to be made public? Seems to me it would be because JFK, the president himself, was not assassinated. The question I have is, then when were the Pentagon's Kennedy assassination Pentagon files destroyed? Obviously, sometime between November 22nd, 1963, and prior to this 1975-1976 HSCA. As a result of this HSCA, a congressional investigation from 1976 to 1979 found a probable conspiracy in the assassination of John F. Kennedy and recommended the Justice Department investigate further. As of 1991, the Justice Department has done nothing. The files of the House Select Committee on Assassinations are locked away until the year 2029, end quote. Now I will play from 1231 to 1353.
We made clear at the conclusion to our 1991 film, JFK. The media controversy that accompanied the film forced Congress to do something about the secrecy that still surrounded these classified files. Hearings were held on Capitol Hill. Most Americans did not believe or support the verdict of the Warren Commission initially, and now more than 3 in 4, according to all recent samplings of public opinion, think some conspiracy was involved. And in 1992, the John F. Kennedy Records Collection Act was passed.
Clerk will report the title.
Senate 3006, an act to provide for the expeditious disclosure of records relevant to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
This act provided funding and formed the Assassination Records Review Board, the ARRB. The public wasn't going to have to wait until 2029. Declassification was to begin now. The board was given a budget and timeline of 4 years to declassify and make public as many documents and records as possible. They managed to collect over 2 million pages of declassified records and artifacts. They are all housed at the National Archives in Maryland. And since then, the public has been free to view, study, and investigate.
Okay, so this 2021 Oliver Stone film depicts that his 1991 JFK film, JFK, The Story That Won't Go Away, as the supposed catalyst for Congress passing the 1992 JFK Assassination Records Collection Act to expedite the identification and declassification of JFK assassination records and to create the Assassination Records Review Board, the AARB, versus the Accountability Review Board, ARB, in 1994, which remained in existence until the fall of 1998. Wait a minute, when? The fall of 1998? When was the East Africa U.S. Embassy bombings? August 7, 1998. The fall of 1998? When did John F. Kennedy Jr. attend the long wedding weekend of CNN Christiane Amanpour and the State Department spokesman Jamie Rubin, August 7 through August 9, 1998, as according to the August 10, 1998 Washington Post article by William Drozdiak called The Ultimate Joint Statement? The fall of 1998? And all this is really just a coincidence, really? Or is it all interlinked and interconnected? You know which way I'm leaning. So needless to say, watching this entire Oliver Stone JFK Revisited in its entirety, not once, not twice, but over 3 times now, my previous remarks since March 2021 regarding and questioning the JFK assassination have not changed and remain as I've stated, including my conjecture is and remains that JFK was not assassinated. Instead, a body double was. And who was JFK's body double? Dallas police officer J.D. Tippit. The only real murder, real assassination that occurred that day. And in regards to the November 22nd, 1963 President of the United States of America assassination attempt. But first, I want to highlight this pattern: the destruction of applicable JFK assassination records. Again, at approximately 12 minutes into this Oliver Stone film, during the 1975-1976 of the House Select Committee on Assassinations, Richard Pryor, an HSCA committee member, stated that, quote, "The Pentagon has destroyed its Kennedy assassination files, and we don't know why this was done," end quote. Later in this film, the destruction of such files by the U.S. Treasury United States Secret Service, while throughout this film documenting example after example after example, falsified documents, falsified evidence, obstruction over and over and over again. And now I will play from 1 hour, 22 minutes to 1 hour, 23.
What it is.
In late 1992, a month after the Records Act was passed, the Secret Service began its compliance plan. But by January of 1995, it had begun destroying important documents.
The destruction of records is actually referenced in the Assassination Records Review Board final report. Very disappointing. They were records that related to trips that President Kennedy had taken in the fall of 1963 prior to him going to Dallas.
There were many threats made to President Kennedy's life during the year 1963. They're called threat sheets, and the Secret Service fought us on release of those records. They even enlisted Vice President Gore's wife to help them because she had a very legitimate concern for mental health records, and the idea was that this might disclose the names of people who had mental health problems. In the end, when we required agencies to disclose, to swear under oath that they had located all assassination records, had turned everything over to us, the Secret Service refused to sign the document under oath. I think that was telling.
Now let's go back to the May 14, 2022 new look at the Zapruder film and assassination of JFK by Jay Widener and Ryder Lee. I will play from 1:16:14 to 1:18:39.
And really interesting that I wanted to bring up and get your thoughts on that virtually no one knows about, Jay. And this was told to me by my friend KJ Scoops, and she gave me the permission to disclose this information here tonight. And no one has ever really heard this information before, unless you were listening to a police scanner and lived in Boston at the time. So if you can think back to April 15th, 2013, during the Boston Marathon bombings, the mainstream narrative was that two terrorists put together homemade pressure cooker bombs. I'm sure you're familiar, everyone's familiar with the story. And they detonated them during the race, close to the finish line, killing a few people and injured many others. A lot of people lost their limbs and stuff. And, God love their soul. But those weren't the only bombs that went off. There was a third, but the two that everyone knows about that went off, my friend KJ worked at an elite law firm in downtown Boston and turned on the police scanner when she heard about the two explosions. And there was about 3 miles from the marathon's finish line, another explosion happened, and that was at the JFK Memorial Library, and was in the archives department. And she specifically heard this on the police scanner, that there was an explosion at the JFK Memorial Library, specifically happened in the archives department. And it's very difficult to find this information online. There's a few articles about it on it. If you Google it and you put in explosion at JFK Memorial Library, and there's like a few articles that describe this event, and they play it down like it didn't really happen, that it was like a false alarm. And I thought that was very interesting, and it's quite possible that the Boston bombing was a distraction to eliminate the archives department at the JFK Memorial Library. Because JFK.
Wow, about the Boston Marathon bombing, but more importantly, the insight, the possibility of the JFK Library explosion in the archive department to destroy even more JFK assassination-related files, evidence. Had you heard about this before? I had not. So I did a little more research and found a few press clips, but of particular interest are President Barack Obama's statements, which kind of adds credibility to all this possibility. And given it was the Kennedy dynasty itself, particularly Senator Ted Kennedy and Caroline Kennedy, that put their weight behind Obama over Hillary, resulting in Obama becoming president to begin with, I would like to now share this article that I did find. According to HuffPost.com, JFK Library, Boston police investigating blasts connection to marathon incidents dated April 15, 2013. At the White House, President Barack Obama vowed that those responsible will feel the full weight of justice. We still don't know who did this and why, Obama said, adding, "Make no mistake, we will get to the bottom of all this." Wow. So I wonder if even more JFK assassination-related files were destroyed, and the Boston Marathon bombing incident was just cover for that. And of course, the supposed U.S. Navy Office of Naval Intelligence JFK assassination files that were supposedly completely destroyed on September 11, 2001, 9/11, at the Pentagon, where the U.S. Navy Office of Naval Intelligence and these supposed JFK-related assassination files were supposedly relocated in a temporary office within the Pentagon while the permanent office was having work done. Wow, what an incredible coincidence. Just like Rumsfeld on September 10, 2001, regarding the missing, unaccounted for $2.3 trillion, and the next day, 9/11, the Army accounting section being taken out, also at the Pentagon. This U.S. Navy temporary Office of Naval Intelligence relocation was then shot into with a missile from a U.S. military helicopter, a U.S. Navy, U.S. Marine Corps helicopter, even, given my previous conjectures in the previous part 1. Now, even with speculation, shot from a U.S. naval vessel into the section of the Pentagon located in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Arlington, versus the Washington, D.C. zip code portion of the Pentagon. And poof, all the U.S. Navy Office of Naval Intelligence JFK-related assassination files are gone. Wow, right? What an incredible coincidence. Things are going to get even more interesting. Are you ready to proceed with part 3?